Hello and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that feels that playing a board game you don't pay for is a lot like kissing your sister. Sure, it's a lot of fun, but it's just plain illegal. My name is Cody, and with me is my good friend and co-host...
I'm Zach.
Zach, my own Sam Healy. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to go ahead and discuss my top 10 games of 2016. It was 2016 that just happened. Yeah. I'm going to talk about that. Zach hasn't played all of these games. He's played a few of them, so he's going to provide some color commentary here. The best color man in the business.
Hey, that's what they say.
All right. So first of all, before we get started with my top 10, a few things I want to say. There were several games I didn't get a chance to play this year that I really wanted to. There's a lot actually that I didn't get a chance to play. I want to play Scythe. Haven't played that. Cry Havoc. Star Trek Ascendancy, which hopefully I'm going to be playing here in the not too distant future, but I haven't played it yet. There's several others out there I haven't played this year, but I played a lot, and I'll tell you what I think of the ones I did. So first of all, let me go ahead and, or second of all, let me talk about some honorable mentions that I've got for this year. First of all, IDW's Godfather, A New Dawn is a fun dice game, an area-controlled dice game. It was pretty good. I think you'd enjoy that. Not terribly thematic, but it's a good little...
It's just a good dice game.
Good. Well, yeah, you're competing for different sections of the board. Play that with Bus Riley.
It's always fun playing a game of Bus.
Ticket to Ride Rails and Sails, which of course is the latest iteration of Ticket to Ride, where you're building railroads and shipping lanes.
Does that add much more to the game?
Well, the different maps, you've got the world map and you've got the Great Lakes map, but then you've also got harbors. So you can build harbors there. In some ways, it's a little harder. I'll tell you this. So Ticket to Ride is about an hour long. Yeah. This game's probably about 2 hours long.
Oh, really?
So it's because you kind of have to weigh, do I want to build rails or do I want to build sails? And there's kind of trade-offs you have to do there, and so it's not as tight as Ticket to Ride is, the original Ticket to Ride, but it's still a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Let's see. Oh, Agamemnon from Osprey Games. Agamemnon was a really good two-player abstract game. I played that with Jeff a few times a while ago. It's loosely based on like the Trojan War, but it's really abstract. You're trying to connect all these strings with these. It's a fun game. But anyway, Agamemnon's good. Yeah. And The Others from Cool Mini or Not, which I just played here recently. The Others 7 Sins. It's essentially kind of a dungeon crawler. One of you is kind of essentially playing Sin, and the game comes with Pride and Sloth, and then you can buy Lust, Envy, all the other expansions. But as the heroes are trying to get through and accomplish their objectives, the Pride players kind of throwing things in their way. Anyway, I actually just played that not too long ago. I'll have a review up before too long for The Others.
That actually sounds pretty cool.
It's a fun game. It's a fun game. I think you'd get a kick out of it. Oh, yeah? Let's try that. So that is... okay, so that's my honorable mentions. Now let's jump right into the list. Coming in at number 10, this is a game that came out here just a few weeks ago. And, of course, I love the theme, and it's Fantasy Flight Games, so this is Game of Thrones, The Iron Throne. Game of Thrones, The Iron Throne is loosely based on Cosmic Encounter. Did you ever play Cosmic Encounter?
I think I did. I think I played Cosmic Encounter.
I don't know if I've played it with you.
Yeah.
Because I just played it earlier this year for the first time. But it's a game where you it's negotiating, but you got to attack people. And Game of Thrones, Iron Throne is kind of the same game, but it's in the Game of Thrones universe. It's a lot of fun because it's a negotiation game.
I like negotiation.
I know, you do. I know.
You love a good negotiation
You loved one of them that's on my list a little later, so we'll talk about that. But negotiation's always a lot of fun. This is a game that forces you to have conflict and interaction with other players, and it's quick. It's about maybe 45 minutes to an hour. Plays up to 5. I think I heard they might come out with a 6-player expansion for it, but it's a lot of fun. I really liked Game of Thrones, The Iron Throne. That's my number 10 from Fantasy Flight Games. Coming in at number 9 is also one that just came out recently, and it is also from Fantasy Flight Games. This is Doom, the board game. Doom, the board game, of course, is based on the Doom video game. Do you remember? Did you ever play the Doom video game?
Never played that game, but I'm aware.
It's a first-person shooter. It was the first big first-person shooter.
Yeah, it seems like it was.
So they did a dungeon crawl where one of you is kind of what they call the invader, and you're controlling all the demons, the creatures, and then the other 4 of you are the Marines that are fighting.
Oh, sorry.
And it's got a cool system because you have a deck that you draw from saying, okay, it's the invader's turn. I can move one of my guys. Then it's this Marine's turn. So every round you don't know whose turn it is, who's coming next.
Oh, okay.
And
that's kind of cool.
That it really is. It kind of mixes it up because you can't plan.
You can't plan your
game it out in your head.
Yeah.
And then on your turn you just play cards that say you can attack with this weapon or attack with this weapon. There's all different kinds of weapons. It's a fun game. I really enjoyed it. That is Doom from Fantasy Flight Games. My number 9. My number 8 is a game from Martin Wallace. Now, I know what you're saying. Cody, I never thought I'd hear Martin Wallace on a top 10 list game of yours. Martin Wallace, if you don't know, is a prolific Eurogame designer. And as you know, I like Euro games okay, but they're just not my favorites, generally. There's a few I really like, but generally they're not my favorites. His Erode is kind of a cross between a Euro game and a dice chucker, because it's a zombie game, but what you do is there's up to 4 of you, and you bid for turn order, and then what you do is you lay up a grid of 2 cards, 4 deep. So you've got 8 cards.
Okay.
And each 2 card is a path. And what happens to you? You gain certain resources, but then you have to fight so many zombies. And you don't know what the paths are going to be. So you're bidding to see who can choose which path. And as you go through there, you're rolling the die, and you get the resources that then you can, of course, bid later, but some of them let you do re-rolls, some of them give you adrenaline. And then when you fight the zombies, you roll die. And the zombies are killing your survivors. There's player elimination, which you usually don't get in a Euro game. So I really enjoyed it. Another quick game, 45 minutes or so.
Oh, I love a good 45-minute game.
I think you'd actually really like Hit Zero.
Really?
It sounds to me like that's a game.
Hit Zero?
Hit Zero. It's the box and everything. It looks like it's this like 1950s, 1960s kind of Mad Men kind of advertising and like in like a road trip movie, and there's like placemats from different restaurants and stuff like that. But it's all like faded and post-apocalyptic.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's great production, and it's just a fun game all the way around. So that's Hit Zero. That's from Asmodee and Space Cowboys. That's my number 8. Coming in at number 7, this is a game that Zach and I have played.
Oh, one I've played. All right.
Yeah. So this is, first of all, this comes from a family of games that is always one of my favorites. It's one of Zach's favorites, too. This is Legendary Firefly. Legendary Counters Firefly. Go ahead. What do you think of this game?
Well, no, first of all, I love the Legendary games. The Legendary games are my favorite. You just gave me an expansion for Christmas of Legendary
The
Marvel.
Captain America one.
Yeah. Legendary Firefly felt like it was more different than all of the other Legendary games. I like the episodic way it played it. You were playing, you weren't just playing the characters, you just weren't playing scenarios, you were playing the actual episodes of the TV series.
Right.
Which was really kind of neat, and they succeeded really well with it.
In the Alien game, which is still probably my favorite Encounters game, you're playing the movies, but there's only 4 movies and only 2 of them were any good.
Yeah, those are
so you're playing that. I really hope they do like a Prometheus and then eventually a Covenant expansion for it. That'd be great. Although there is a new expansion out. I haven't played it yet, but look for that review. It'll be coming soon. But I agree. The episodes in Firefly, because there's like 13 episodes.
There are 13 episodes.
The way that plays out and the way that's organized, I agree with you.
It was really cool.
Brilliant.
I would say I agree. Alien, I think, is my favorite. As much as I like the Marvel and the Marvel villains, I might have to say second favorite.
So you like Alien, then Firefly,
then Marvel. I have to say.
The great thing about Marvel is there's just so much.
That's the thing that's good about Marvel. There's
so
so many things that keeps it fun.
I agree.
But Firefly, the gameplay was a lot of fun. I like that game.
It is, and it's a great IP. Firefly is a great TV show.
Oh, yeah.
We the last 2 Christmases, we didn't this year, but the last 2 Christmases we got together and we played Firefly, the board game from Gale Force 9.
Frustrating game. It's so
much fun. We missed out on that. We played Legendary Firefly. We'll have to do this again real soon.
Yeah.
That is my number 7, Legendary Firefly, and that is from Upper Deck. My number 6 is Conan. Conan, of course, comes from Monolith and Asmodee. And Conan is a great game. Of course, it's based on the Conan the Barbarian IP.
Oh, not the TBS late night talk show.
You know, it could be. They look so much alike.
Right.
But it's really a lot of fun. It's again a dungeon crawler, but I've never seen a dungeon crawler work quite this way, because you've got the heroes all have these gems, and they can do a movement, but if they want to do more movement, or if they want to roll dice in combat, they have to spend the gems.
Okay.
So essentially, every movement you do, every breath you take, everything, you have to pay for it. And then what happens is the bad guy, he's got this plastic thing, it's called like the Book of Skelos, and he can activate his guys here really cheaply, and then he puts it at the back. So if he wants to activate a guy up here, it costs him a lot of gems, but down here it's few gems. So it's like you're trying to manage, well, I can activate this guy, which is what I want to do, but it's going to cost me a lot, and I can't do a lot of other things. Yeah. So it's a great game. I've said this 100 times. The best games are the ones that force you to make tough decisions. And Conan does it brilliantly.
That's good.
It's good. This is another game I think you'd like. It's got a lot of different scenarios. Now, there is a caveat here, and I'm not going to get into this, and I won't get into this in my review, which is coming up shortly, but there's some controversy on the rule book. There's boobs. Some feminist people have not been too happy about this, and there are real strong rules for women in the game, so that's a big deal, and you can't talk about this game without bringing this up, so that is what it is. But despite that, gameplay is amazing. Conan is truly one of the best games of the year, and I really like it.
Yeah.
So that is Conan, my number 6 from Monolith and Asmodee. My number 5 is from Fantasy Flight Games, and it is a game that Zach has played this year, and that is New Angeles.
Oh, okay.
Zach?
No, New Angeles is a very it's kind of a different take on the Hidden Trader game, where you're all different corporations in a post-apocalyptic Los Angeles that's trying not to be taken over by the federal government. And the whole game, you're with the corporations, you're trying to show that you can function and deal with the protests and the things happening outside. But as that seems to get away from you, the federal government comes in, and the hidden trader aspect comes in, where one of the corporations is actually the federal government, and they're trying to take over everything. And then also you have different takes on winning the game. Well, there's different ways to win the game. Or you can win the game even if you don't ever as well as other corporations. If you're better than this one corporation that is your rival, then
right. At the beginning of the game, you draw the rival cards, and if you got somebody else's rival card, you just have to beat them. Somebody else can be far and away have the most money at the end of the game. It doesn't matter. You just got to beat them. Unless you draw your own, then you have to beat a certain number of other people, 2 or 3 other people. And then if you get the Federalist card, you're the Federalist, and you've got to get the threat level. It has to get up to 25. You have to have 25 capital.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's essentially the mechanic.
Yeah, everyone's playing a different victory, which is kind of fun. And it's you'll play a card. You'll have this card saying, "Hey, let's do this. It'll help us out." And someone else will say, "Well, that card will really help you." Well, yeah, it will, but maybe you got to try and convince people to do things that maybe they don't want to do.
It's a negotiation game. One of the best negotiation games I've played in a long time. And every the whole mechanic revolves around voting for who do you think has got the best solution to the problems. That's every round. It's just, okay, so do we go with this one or do we go with this one? Let them have it, or no, we're going to fight like hell to get this done. And it's so much fun. It's such a great game.
The theme was real fun too.
It's in the Android universe, which of course Android Netrunner and some of the other games in that universe are in it. And I still want you to play Android Netrunner at some point. Yeah. But it is. It's fantastic. That's New Angeles. Do you have anything else you want to say about it?
No, that was a fun game. Good. If you like a good negotiation game, a good hidden trader game.
A lot of people have called it Battlestar Galactica 2.0. I don't know if I go quite that far, but I can see the comparison.
Not that far, but definitely worth your time.
All right. So that is number 5. That is New Angeles from Fantasy Flight Games. Now, number 4 is a game that, it's from Fantasy Flight Games. Now, it's a game that I'm going to talk about a second edition. And I'm going to talk about a second edition here instead of just saying entirely new games here, because the second edition, to me, feels like it's been redesigned from the ground up. It is a completely new game as far as I'm concerned. Now, you played the first edition.
Yeah, I never played the second edition.
But the second edition just came out. Second edition is, I'm talking about Mansions of Madness second edition. Now, Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition, of course, the big thing that changed is the first one was so fiddly on setup. Now, what did you think of the first game?
I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. There was another game similar to it, Betrayal on
House of the Hill.
That I kind of always gave they're kind of similar. always gave the edge to that, but you keep telling me that this new expansion really just takes that whole haunted house genre to a different level.
Well, the first Mansions of Madness was good, but it was so fiddly. And the last time I played it, I screwed up on a little thing that really significantly impacted the game when I set it up. Because one of you had to be essentially the house, the keeper is what he's called. And if you screw that up, you kind of screwed up the game for everybody. So that was really disappointing. And what's so cool about Mansions of Madness 2 is, as infuriating as the first one was to set up, this one's simple. I mean, I am not joking when I say that first one could take 45 minutes to an hour to set up. It theoretically could. This one, at its worst, is maybe 5 to 10 minutes to set up. So that right there.
Oh, that's good.
But also, too, with the app, and with the things the app can do and the app brings to the game. And some people I know just hate the idea of an app, and that's fine if you're one of those people. But I really, really, really enjoyed the new Mansions of Madness. I haven't. They came with 4 scenarios. I haven't played some of them because there's one scenario that I think is like a 6-hour scenario.
Oh, really?
And you need like a big ton of space. But it's alive, it's so much fun. They're coming out with new scenarios too.
Well, it was neat that they had that option. I mean, I always like the good 1-2 hour game, but to have something that's that big,
that expansive,
kind of cool.
I agree. Yeah. But it's a lot of fun, and you and I will definitely have to play that at some point. That is my number 4, Mansions of Madness, 2nd edition from Fantasy Flight Games. My number 3 is a game from GMT Games that came out earlier this year. It came out about, I think, in February or March. This is Talon. Talon is a 2 to 4 player war game. I played it both. It works best as a 2-player game, but essentially it is a space combat game. Now, one game that you consistently see on my top 10 list, and Talon I think was, I want to say it was my 11. It was just didn't make it into my top 10 of all time. Talon, the game I'm speaking of that's always in my top 10 is Space Empires 4X. And Space Empires 4X is a grand strategic space exploration 4X game, obviously. And I know I played it with Sean. I haven't played it with you, but that's a great game. It's a war game. Essentially, it's a space war game with elements of 4X in it. Really liked it. And what Talon is Talon is then the tactical combat from that. It's the same universe, but it's ship combat. In fact, you can combine both of them to play the fleet game and then the tactical game. I'm not going to do that. I like actually fleet combat, and the other one. But in Talon, it's so cool because you have these big hexes, and you have these hexes as they're moving along the board, and you actually have dry erase markers, and you write on the hexes, and you adjust your power curve. And what happens is it's got an impulse system. So on this, it's got letters A through F, and on A, if your power curve is here, you get a move, or you get to take an action, or you get to do something else. But it's essentially like capital ship combat. And as you're doing it, it feels a lot like Star Wars Armada. It feels a lot like Star Wars Armada. But again, speaking of setup time, Star Wars Armada can take a long time to set up and take down. Talon is like 5 minutes set up and take down. Wow. And it's fun. Again, you're looking at, you can play scenarios that, again, are half hour, 45 minutes. You can play scenarios that are going to take you 2-3 hours. And it's a great space combat game, great 2-player game. Again, that's one I want to play with you at some point. But I love science fiction games. And you do too.
Oh, I do. Oh, I love science fiction.
Yeah. They're really a lot of fun. So that Talon is amazing. So that's Talon from GMT Games. That is my number 3. My number 2 is a game that actually Zach and I literally, just before we started recording this, played.
Just played.
And once again, and I played it twice now with Zach, once again, Zach kicked my butt. Talking, of course, about Star Wars Rebellion from Fantasy Flight Games. This game, again, came out in March, I believe. And go ahead.
Well, this is your number 2, but if I were doing a list, this is my favorite new game of the year and one of my top 10 of all time. I love Star Wars Rebellion. And
I think it was like 4 or 5 of all time.
Oh, was it really? Yeah, it's that good of a game. And funny, after playing it just a week or two after the big new Star Wars release movie, it was almost in a way a little bit more fun because you're kind of got reintroduced into the whole world of the Rebellion through this, and now we're playing this game. But it was a lot of fun. It's a game, I forget the term you use for it when you have two sides.
Asymmetrical?
Asymmetrical. Mm-hmm. Asymmetrical game, and I played the Empire.
He's played the Empire both times he's played it.
Both times. I'm going to play the Rebellion next time.
Yeah.
But I like
and it's funny because a lot of people out there are saying it's really weighted toward the Rebels, and I think in general it is. I've won as the Rebels too against with other players, but I don't know what it is. Zach kicks my butt in this game.
Well, you said you like games that force you to make hard choices.
Yes,
you said that.
Yes.
And in this game, you got this board all in front of you, and you're trying to find the Rebel Alliance, and occasionally you'll get cards telling you where they're not, but you're trying to figure out where to put your forces and leaving these guys abandoned. And then it's just a great game, and you talk about immersing you into the theme of Star Wars. It's as good as even better than I think Armada and miniatures, which as much as I love those games, to me this is the
definitive Star Wars.
This is the definitive Star Wars.
I have to agree. I mean, I love Armada. X-Wing's fun. I love Armada, But to me, Star Wars Rebellion is a game that puts you in Star Wars. You feel like you're really a part of Star Wars. And I was telling him now, as much as I love this game, there's one aspect of it I'm not wild about. That's combat. Yeah. I'm hoping at some point maybe they retool combat, or they come up with an expansion that maybe makes it a little. Yeah. It just feels a little clunky. It's not horrible, but it doesn't build. You don't build up the combat like you would expect.
And it's funny, you'd hear someone say combat's not that good, and a lot of times, well, the game must be that good. Yeah. Because, well, combat, wouldn't that be the main part of the game? Yeah. And it isn't.
No, combat is not. What I like about this game is it's got elements of a war game. It's got elements of a hidden movement game, and it's got elements of a worker placement game. It's got kind of the best of all of it. Well, the best of the hidden worker and the hidden movement, and then well, even the war game. There's more to war game than combat, and where that works, it's really good. But fun game. I mean, you take the Star Wars theme out of it. I don't know where I'd put it. I mean, if it was some other theme, I don't know that I'd like it quite as much. I think
you have a good point.
I think the Star Wars theme, to me, makes it a great game. Yeah. Just mechanically, I think it's a very good game. But Star Wars, I don't know how you'd make this game if it wasn't Star Wars.
No, not at all. I mean, when we were younger, we played with the action figures, and now we get to still do that in our 40s. But it's a game. It's a board game. We're not playing with our action figures. And you still get to be Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader and have them fight each other. It's great.
You bring up a point, because it is a toy box. You feel, I mean, there's a toy factor there. In some games, that's what you want. You want to have a toy factor.
Oh, yeah.
And this game has the toy factor.
Oh, yeah.
And you hit the nail on the head there. We played the action figures. We're still playing with them. You know?
Yeah.
All right. Star Wars Rebellion. That's my number 2. Fantasy Flight Games, check it out. All right, my number 1 game of 2016. Now, I got to tell you, Star Wars Rebellion could easily have been my number 1 this year. Easily. In fact, most of the year, I was expecting it to be my number 1. I'm going to give number 1 an edge for several reasons I will make clear, but you got to know it was really down to those two, Captain Sonar and Star Wars Rebellion. They're both games I freaking love. Captain Sonar from Asmodee. Captain Sonar is we played that. Well, you tell them what happened the first time we played.
Well, the first time we played, first of all, you might get into this into your review. If there's any negative about this, and it's a very picky one, you got to have 8 people play the game.
Yeah.
And so sometimes for some people, getting 8 people together can be tough. But we got our 8 people together. We're on each side. And where I say Rebellion's my favorite new game of the year, Captain Sonar was the most fun I've had playing a game this year.
Okay, yeah.
We have you get the 2 people on each side, and you
2
got
teams.
2 teams. And you got the captain and his crew, and the captain and his crew. And the greatest thing about this game, the neatest thing about this was that it was played in real time. And I don't know about anyone else. I've never played a game in real time. And the first time you play it, just from habit, you take turns. Until you're like, no, it's not a turn-taking game. And so you have the captain who's trying to find where the ship is, and he's giving out his orders. And the other side is doing theirs at the same time. Their 2 teams are moving simultaneously. And what each game took, about 30 minutes?
Yeah, about that.
I mean, we played 4 games.
We played 4 games that night, and we were there for about 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours, and we played 4 games, and you got 4 people doing a different job, each one important to it. Some are harder than others. Some people are better at than others. Yeah. You were good at captain. I stunk as captain. But I like the engineer.
I played some games where I didn't do well as captain, too. Yeah. But I love playing captain.
But engineer, and then you got the radar.
The radar
operator. Yeah. But it's just 2 teams playing against each other at the same time. And let me tell you, when you win this game, I don't think I've ever played a game where you are literally screaming and yelling and jumping off the walls on victory more than we played this game. We played Rebellion earlier, and it was over. It's like, good job. And we shook each hands over the board, and it was a nice, dignified thing. You win Captain Sonar, and you're like, yeah!
You are screaming.
You are just going nuts that you actually beat this game. It is that much fun.
It really, you get into it, and part of that is it's so stressful. I mean, there's such a, are they going to get us? Are they going to get us? And then when you find out the game's over, I mean, even the losing side's going to go, you know? So there's just so much pent-up emotion you got in this game.
Well, a lot of times you say a distinction between like board games and party games. And you got party games where you get a lot of people and you're going to play a game for 20, 30 minutes. And then you have the serious board game you'll play for a couple hours. I feel like Captain Sonar kind of marries those 2 together.
I think that's fair.
It's like a party game atmosphere in more of a serious board game.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. I think it's a very good point. It's just a game that when the first night we played it, all 8 of us, when we walked out of the room, we could not stop grinning. It was kind of one of those things where it was getting later. We kind of had to go home, but I think all of us probably felt maybe we could have done one more. You know what I mean? Because it was just that much fun. And I played it since. I played it again another night with some other people. We played again 4 games in about 2 hours or so. And it was the same thing. A lot of the people, I had some of the people that played that original game, but everybody that hadn't played that original game, they're still just grinning ear to ear because it is so much fun.
Well, you want to spend at least 20 minutes talking about your successes on the battlefield.
Yeah, well, that's...
I remember that person did this, and I thought I had you, but then I was wrong.
Part of it, and that's another mark of a good game, too, is when you do the post-mortem, if you're still excited about it. We were just doing that with Rebellion a minute ago. Logan Rogan is the best radio man in the business.
Was good.
He loves doing that. He doesn't like the other roles so much. He's okay with captain, but he didn't care for first officer or engineer. But he loved doing radio, and he is good at it. You ever play that game, you want him to be your radio guy. But I love captain. That was probably my favorite. First officer wasn't bad. Engineer is a little frustrating for me.
I like Engineer, though.
I know you did. That was the first one you played.
That was the first one I played. I got to play them all, but Engineer is great because you're just trying to make the best out of a horrible situation the entire game as the Engineer. And you're trying to choose between, cutting off your arm or cutting off your leg, pretty much.
And there's that, and I'll tell you right now, there's that moment, too, as captain. And it's happened in more games than I can think. Well, every game I won, it's happened in. There's that moment where you're captain, where you look at your radio guy, you're using your own intuition. You look at the radio guy, and you think you got him. You think you know right where they are. You look over at the engineer. Engineer says, "We got a green light." You look at your first officer. Green light. Fire here. And then when they announce it, they're just that moment where it's like, oh.
Now, Cody, I've never actually been in a submarine battle.
Okay,
but I feel
yes,
I haven't. But I feel like I maybe have a little bit of an idea.
That's
without the claustrophobia.
No, I agree. It's tremendous fun. So anyway, that is Captain Sonar. That's from Asmodee. Again, biggest weakness is you need 8 people. But man, if you can get 8 people together, if you go to conventions or anything like that, pick up this game because I guarantee you will have fun with Captain Sonar.
It is easy to play.
Number 1 from Asmodee.
Yeah.
All right, well, that is our my top 10 games from 2016. Hopefully, we'll get together soon, Zach and I, and do another one of these videos on some other kooky topic. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. Do you have anything you want to add, Zach?
No.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. We are the Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that absolutely believes that Watch Dogs is better than Watch Dogs 2. Yes, I play video games as well.
Somebody